Hi guys. So this video is going to be expanding on the toggle example that I did some time ago. I've taken a little break from Factory Town playing other games, but I'm back to it now for a little while, so I thought I'd do another video on toggles. This is going to be a triple toggle with filter. I'm going to assume you don't know anything at all about toggles and you didn't watch my previous video. So I've got two barns, one's got coal and water and the other one has grain and wood. So I want to have an equal mix. So let's do a quick setup. The direction of the belts is important for the pushers that I'm going to use, and the reason for that is if you have the belts going in the same direction as the pushers, it messes with the order and we want to avoid that. So the pushers are going to move the resources onto the single conveyor belt. I want a agent trigger there. I also want a couple of grabbers for each one of the barns. It's going to filter each one. So if you remember, we have coal and water in this one, so we'll filter it for coal and the other one for water. And we have grain and wood in this one, so we'll filter this one grain and the other one for water. Sorry, not water. We've already got water on the other one. We want wood. Okay, so they're filtered. So now I'm going to add the actual toggles. I'll put them either side so you can understand the representation of them. So we're going to have the right hand side of each toggle on and the left hand side off. So we need to make sure that they're both represented properly, and we need to turn the toggles off on the left. Okay, so when you first start doing this, it's a little bit confusing on the connections. And a question I was asked after my previous toggle video was, how do you connect them up? Right mouse button is connect, left button is always select. So the key to the toggle is the agent trigger. So we need to connect the agent trigger to the toggle. So I'm going to do it to the off position of the toggle, and then that needs to be the connector to the off position pusher. So we then need to connect up the two parts of the toggle, and then this on part of the toggle needs to be connected to the pusher, which is on. So repeat that for the other one. Okay, and they're always connected in this example that way. So that will give a 1-to-1 mix for both of those. But we want this to go onto a single conveyor belt. So what we're going to do is to move it over to here, like this. Right, okay, so we add the pushers like that, another agent trigger and the toggle. What I want to do is exactly the same as we did last time with the on and off positions. So then wire them up like we did before. Now what I want this to do is feed back in. So run the belt up like this. Sit round to the back. And I guess this is a good way we can show off sorters as well as doing this. So I'm going to sort the materials. So we want coal and water going back into here. So we'll sort that water and coal. And we want wood and grain going back into here. Go. So as it comes around, it will get fed back in for this example, because we're going to do a bit more to it once I've shown it works. So hopefully if I've done that right, if we unpause it, we'll get one-to-one mix, a one-to-one mix into a one-to-one mix. Coal, grain, water, wood. Coal, grain, water, wood, and so on. So we're getting the correct mix. So what if actually only wanted 3 of those resources and not 4? So I'll just pause it. So I'm actually going to use a sorter again. Now you can't put it anywhere within the toggle arrangement, it has to come afterwards. Don't forget, a pusher has to actually push anything for the toggle to work, and that will go for anything, even if you use a blocker. Any of the compute blocks, something actually has to pass through it, and that is because of the agent trigger. The agent trigger is the key. That is basically the on-off for everything. If nothing passes through that, then it doesn't work. So you've got to put this sorter outside of everything. So I'm going to sort wood, and so we're going to use the wood as a sacrificial resource. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it back into this barn. So if we unpause that, it will change the order, obviously. So we're going to go coal, grain, water, space. Coal, grain, water, space. So we're now just feeding it back with what we want. My example of this was I wanted to take 3 resources from barns and put them into a kitchen. I was making stew in the kitchen, and the wood for fuel was being fed from close to the kitchen, and my farms were elsewhere. And the vegetable stew needed carrots, potatoes and tomatoes to make it. And I wanted to feed them down a single conveyor belt because of the distance it had to travel. And I wanted a particular order, so it was getting a set of 3 each time into the kitchen, so it wasn't getting an odd mix. And as I said in my previous video about toggling like this one-to-one mixers, this obviously does rely on the fact that you have a constant supply into your barns in the first place. You can actually set it up so that the whole thing turns off once one resource is empty, just by using some math blocks. You can do that. So the next question then is, what if you wanted to do this from one barn only and not 2? Okay, so how do we do the same thing with one barn? So I've got all 4 resources now in one barn. So let's just pause it. I'm going to arrange the belt like this. Oops, wrong way. So you can see it's getting the form that it had previously. Oops. That's better. Right, so we're going to do it using that arrangement. So we're going to filter using grabbers in the same way we did before. So we'll go with coal and water on this side. And water. And we'll go grain. And wood. And yet again we'll use the wood as the sacrificial resource so that our toggle works properly. So I'm going to build it in the same way as I did previously. I've noticed a mistake. It wants to be that way. And that wants to be that way. There we go. Belt direction's very important. Okay, so before I get ahead of myself, let's do turning off the ones that we know need to be off. And now add the toggles. You can obviously be a bit more use your space better, but I'm trying to just do it so it's a simple to understand example. And clearly in game proper you're going to find that you are a bit more limited for space than this. So I'm going to feed it back in again just for the hell of it. So we don't need to filter anything because we know it's going to work. So wire up the same way as before, make sure everything's on and off. It is. All the same as before. Okay, so that should work if we unpause it. There'll be a slight delay. And there we go. Mixing the same as before, but from 3 for 1 barn rather. So you can see we've got 1-to-1 mixing going on in 3 places, so we're getting that coal, grain, water, wood, coal, grain, water, wood. So filter it the same as last time. So I'm just going to feed that back in. Set the filter to wood. As soon as that kicks in, coal, grain, water, space. Coal, grain, water, space. So there you go. We've got 1-to-1 filters, 3 1-to-1 mixers going on at the same time with filtering out for just the 3 resources instead of the 4.